What's going on, everybody? AAU Dream Team with a new podcast today, and I'm here with my Uncle Carl as a special guest.
What up?
Today we're going to go over a few topics, the NBA rookies, breaking down the Eastern Conference, some Cam Reddish, and then we might get into some MLB, NFL. We'll see.
Well, hold on a second. I got something for you. Little Robinson Cano. Bob, I was turning
snap. Okay.
Little Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, I know he's washed up and all, but it's still fun to get a little bobblehead action.
Awesome. That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
How'd you get this?
I went to a Met game a couple years ago, and they were handing them out. So, I was sitting in the closet collecting dust, and I'm like,
That's awesome.
What? Let me give it to my man, Nicky.
That's awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate that. This has
it.
been one of my biggest supporters throughout this whole podcast.
Much love for my homie
One of the biggest reasons I've really started this. So
that's it. My man
that's
got
awesome.
It.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Much love.
All right. So let's get into the rookies of the NBA. So
no doubt.
With Cade Cunningham being picked with number 1 overall, there's a lot of hype that's surrounding him. And up until about a month ago, he really hasn't been performing to expectations.
Right.
A lot of people would say he's been out with a little bit of injury, just hasn't really been putting up great numbers. But then all of a sudden, he's just kicked into beast mode. Now people have him ranked number 2 in the rookie rankings.
At Oklahoma State, right?
Oklahoma State, yep.
Right.
But a lot of people could have him as number 1. He's been balling out lately. He's been the go-to guy, putting in major buckets at major times, not afraid of the clutch moments, hitting clutch free throws. He's really been a great player, a great piece. And
definitely not shunning away from the spotlight.
Exactly. Yep. And that's one of the biggest things as a rookie, especially with that hype around you, especially out of Oklahoma State. Not many great prospects come out of Oklahoma State.
True.
And just having that confidence is definitely key. Dwayne Casey believes that he's the rookie of the year in his eyes. I mean, he did get drafted to the Pistons. Obviously, the Pistons are a team in work in progress.
Definitely a team in flux right there. They got that draft thing going on right there. They're gonna have to keep, building through the draft because a lot of free agents aren't gonna be going to the Pistons.
Right. Not a big money destination.
Yeah, and it's cold as hell there.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, one draft pick's not gonna make them a first place team, but at least you can see a lot of guys like Isaiah Stewart. Hopefully, Killian Hayes starts to play well, but not many think he will. But hopefully the guys start to gel. A lot of draft picks going to have another good draft pick this year. So, I mean, hopefully they're able to take that and work with it and get up there. Because a lot of teams that we're going to cover in this podcast have made their way, were built through the draft. Cleveland's a great example.
Absolutely.
From that. But let's get into the current rankings.
Okay.
So right now, number 1, this is all from NBA.com. Number 1 rookie, Evan Mobley. He's averaging 14.6 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, and 2.6 assists per game. He was drafted number 3 out of USC. Not many people thought he'd be playing at this level. Yes, he was drafted high, but no one thought he'd be leading, him and Darius Garland be leading the Cavaliers to 5th place, 6th place in the East right now. He's been balling. He can stretch the floor with his ability to shoot. And his ability to play defense is on a whole nother level. He stretches the floor. That's the biggest thing. Because when you have shooters like Darius Garland, you got forwards like Kevin Love, Lauri Markkanen, you have your center and Jared Allen. It's a big help to have someone with this type of talent.
As a fellow Knicks fan, they've done it the right way through the draft.
Yes.
We're kind of jealous of that.
100%.
Like I said, we're both Knicks fans. So.
The Knicks have time and time again to draft the right guys, always having such bad years.
I love RJ, but we could have got John Morant.
We could have got John Morant. Well, let's be real. If we traded up, John Morant was picked 1 pick before. But we could have tanked a little more that year. The ping-pong
balls would have went our way.
Yeah, that is true. We could have had.
And like I said, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
That is true. All right, so diving into number 2, we got Cade Cunningham. He's averaging 16.5 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, 5.5 assists per game. Very clutch player. Drafted number 1 pick out of Oklahoma State. Now, we just went over Cade. There's not much more to say about him, but he's definitely having that ability to show that he can be that star player, have that star potential. So hopefully things go. Listen, I'm rooting. Obviously, I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm rooting for all rookies to be able to prosper as long as they're not going to beat the Knicks every time they play them. I hope. I would just wish the best for everyone. Cade Cunningham looks like he can be that next guy who has that potential. He's not afraid of the big moment. That's the biggest thing.
True.
Number 3, probably one of my favorite rookies, Scotty Barnes. He's averaging 15 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, 3.3 assists per game. He was drafted number 4 overall out of Florida. He actually played with a buddy of mine that I used to play against in high school at Rainey High School.
Is that the guy who used to get you with the cross double dribble or no?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this guy was legit. He's the one who actually, when he fell to the floor, he'd like do that kind of flip to get himself up. So,
Oh my God.
yeah, he's pretty cool to watch. But Scotty Barnes is an absolute dog. He's leading the Raptors to a playing spot right now. Him, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, that team is gelling very well together that no one thought would. And I like the way that Scotty plays because he's not a very fast-paced player that's going to, dribble, step back three like Harden.
Excuse me, they're 6th or 7th in the East.
7th right now.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
All right.
So he's not a high explosive player that's going to hit you with the Harden step back 3, but the way he plays the game, very smart, and he just is able to get buckets all the time. And he has a great supporting cast around him, too, to help him grow.
Okay.
Yep.
I think they're a little ways away, but you look at those teams, those power 5-6 teams in the East, man. I mean, they're all stacked. They're really close together. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. The East this year is, over the past few years, they've been improving a lot, and now this year, you can argue, with the exception of the Warriors and the Suns, you can argue that the East is better than the West now.
Definitely, I see the top tier teams, yes. But Phoenix and Golden State, with all that talent and the defense that they play, I know Golden State, you kind of worry a little bit, but man, those teams are deep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely,
We'll see.
Especially with Klay Thompson coming back now. I mean, the Warriors don't even have James Wiseman, who was their 2nd or 3rd overall pick a year ago.
Right.
Second pick a year ago. So when a lot of these guys come back, then you can really start to judge.
Yeah, and
Warriors.
absolutely. And like I said, like Phoenix, like the defense is tight. And Golden State. I mean, how could you go against Golden State?
A lot of experience there.
Experience. They're pretty much healthy for the most part, like you said, other than what you said. But you can't sleep on them.
That's very true. And just think, like, a lot of the Raptors they traded for Kawhi. They were a championship team a year ago, but Kawhi had no duty to stay there, right? He was just drafted to play his contract.
He took the money and ran out.
He did what he had to do. Won the championship. Now a lot of your guys leave. You got Kyle Lowry who left. Now everyone expected them to be at the bottom of the pack, and they're already in a playing spot. Work through the draft. Now, going back to the Warriors, Curry was out. Klay Thompson was out last year, or in the year before that. Bad, right? Curry comes back last year, playing spot. You lose to the Lakers. Now they're 3rd place in the West, only behind the Grizzlies and the Suns. So a lot of these teams do have a lot of talent. Some injuries hurt them. Now that you can only judge teams based on when they come back. Let's put it like that. When they're fully healthy,
they got that championship pedigree. I mean, they've been there. They know what it takes. Having the Splash Brothers reunited, being healthy. I mean, they're gonna do their thing.
And having the two top 10 picks, I believe. You got one of them plays in the G League, unfortunately, just because when you get drafted to such a stacked team, there's really not a lot of not a lot of opportunities for you to fit in. But you got Jonathan Kuminga, the rookie, and on the Warriors, and he's playing good. He's getting his minutes. He's fitting in. So it all depends on how everything falls for these players.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think the Raptors have a promising, in the next 2 to 3 years, have a very, very promising team coming for them. So next up, we got ranked 4th overall, Franz Wagner. He's averaging 15.6 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game. He was drafted number 8 overall out of Michigan. This guy, I heard a lot about him. I would watch a lot of his games at Michigan, but I didn't think that he'd ever be performing this well coming straight out of college for 1 year.
Yeah. Definitely playing with some confidence. For real.
Yeah. And granted, he is on the Magic, so there's not a lot of players that are gonna be
playing with no pressure though.
Exactly.
Just doing his thing.
The Magic already eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they were eliminated like 6 months ago.
That's
all right.
Yeah, but
he could grow. That's what you want.
Yeah, and if I was the Magic owner, Magic's head coach, yes, right now you're in a crappy situation where you guys are the worst team in the league. You guys stink. But you got to look at
Golden State. That team was built through the draft. When I was I'm gonna date myself, but back in the day, Golden State was like they were garbage. Nobody even knew who they were. Nobody even know they played in San Francisco. Like Golden State, where's that?
Yeah.
But that team built through the draft, and all those guys were homegrown guys.
Yep.
So it's always possible. A team could build through the draft and
they,
become a
they
great
do
team.
have a lot of great young talent. Cole Anthony, I know Jalen Suggs isn't performing up to where he should be right now, but he's a very good player too, in my opinion. You got Mo Bamba, Franz Wagner. You got a lot of good, and then you have good veterans like John Ross.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for growth. Right.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. So number 5 on the rankings, Josh Giddey, probably another one of my favorite rookies this year.
You just like saying that name, Josh Giddey.
It is a fun name to say, but I remember when he was drafted, I was sitting on my couch and I was like, "Who is this?" He didn't look good. He didn't look athletic. I remember watching TikToks and they were saying all his weaknesses, and he had no strengths. I was like, "How are you gonna draft this guy? I believe 6th overall."
They saw
6th
something in him.
overall. He's balling. He's the youngest player. He did it twice. So originally the youngest player to drop a triple-double was LaMelo Ball last year. Josh Giddey broke the record the first time for youngest player, and then did it again as the second youngest player. He broke his own record.
Wow.
He's averaging 12.5 points per game, almost 8 rebounds per game, and 6.5 assists per game.
Wow, he's doing it all.
Yeah, and he on this Thunder team that has Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a lot of young talent.
Another young team.
Yep. That team's going to be right back to where it was when they had KD and Westbrook real soon. I like them.
Hopefully. But that, like I said, I mean, those guys that they had were really, they just missed the mark, you know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see.
I think they made it to the championship when they had that year, when they were really young. Yeah, I think they were just a year too young.
True.
Versus a lot of guys with more experience.
Yep.
Yeah, but I just like how a lot of these young kids do have an effect on their teams.
Yes, no doubt.
But at the same time, they have an effect on their teams, but it's not showing in the standings, let's say. Because with the exception of Evan Mobley, who's the 6th seed in the East, everyone else, Cade Cunningham, Pistons, 14th seed, Scotty, 7th, Franz, 15th, Josh, 14th in the West. So Scotty is a key piece to the Raptors, 7th place playing spot right now, but Mobley is securing the safe playoff spot, obviously. They all have an impact on their teams, don't get me wrong. But Mobley and Scotty are the only ones that are making that push to where they have something to play for at the end of the year. Obviously, when you draft a rookie with such a high pick, you want that. You want to always be like, okay, it's June, I want to be still playing. You don't want to be in March and know that I drafted a great young talent, he's playing well, but our season's ending in April, right?
True. I think some of those teams, like you mentioned, like Toronto, they still have a little more depth than the other teams, like the Magic, and even though the Hornets, they have some talent, and I think a lot of these young guys got to find their rhythm.
Right.
I think right now they're playing as individuals, and once they get that cohesiveness going with other players, I think they'll start to gel. Like for example, oh my goodness, I had a brain fart. Oh, New Orleans.
Yes.
Same thing. They got a lot of talent. You know what I mean? I know what's his name's out now.
Zion.
Yeah, but they have the other kid who's playing really well.
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, he's playing like a beast.
CJ McCollum just came over.
These guys are all built through the draft. I mean, they're gonna find their game. They'll gel. It's gonna take time, but it's just exciting to see these young players. Yeah, they're raw, but once they gel and find that rhythm with other teammates or free agency acquisitions or whoever, or even still building through the draft, I think they're only going to get better, and that's exciting as a fan.
Yeah, 100%. I think these rookies are going to have a big impact on the long-term effect of their teams. So, but we can't judge right now, obviously. They're still young, still a lot of pieces to the puzzle to be put together.
Definitely.
But yeah, a lot of hopes. So now we just talked about the best rookies. Let's get into the biggest disappointments that we have.
Oh, man.
So my biggest disappointment, I have a few of them, but my biggest
He's got a laundry list.
My biggest disappointment is rookie Jalen Green. He was drafted 2nd overall, and he was a very hyped up prospect.
Where'd he come out of?
He came out of the G League.
Oh, that's right, G League. Right.
Yep. He spent 1 year in the G League. He was very, very hyped up. I remember watching him when he was in high school. Decided to go G League so he can get paid a little bit of money rather than going to college. Okay, no big deal. A few other players did that. He was the best player by far in the G League, dominating all the time, and he got drafted. He got drafted number 2 to the Rockets. He was up for debate. He could have been number 1. Cade Cunningham could have been number 1. Cade went 1. Jalen went 2, and it just hasn't worked out for him at all on Houston right now. Granted, he has been injured a little bit. I will give him the benefit of the doubt there, but still, when he comes back, he just no effect on his team, not putting up good numbers, and he's just playing like a role player out there when he's supposed to be the star player on this team. He's not shooting well, he's not finishing at a high percent, and he's just not making anyone around him better. So he's currently 6th in Rookie of the Year voting. Very disappointing season, but I think he's still young and he has the potential to be a great player in the near future.
Yeah, like you said, they're another team who, like you said, I mean, they're young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so let's see what goes through the draft. You know what they get. You know,
because they're gonna have another top 3 pick
have another
this year.
top pick, and like you said, I mean, we'll see what happens as we go forward.
Mm-hmm. So now my second and last biggest disappointment. Jalen, imagine. Jalen Suggs, drafted number 5 out of Gonzaga.
Right.
He's just completely fallen off the rail. He's averaging 12.5 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, and 4.7 assists per game.
And he's playing. You said 28 minutes. We spoke off air. You said he's playing about 28 minutes.
28
a game,
minutes.
right?
So it's not like he's a little role player. He's starting. He's getting a lot of minutes. Yes.
Yeah.
On a young team that we just talked about, the Magic. He's ranked 12th in Rookie of the Year voting. I thought he had potential to win Rookie of the Year, and a lot of other people had that same thought as me. And he was drafted 5th overall, but many reports had him going as high as number 3 overall because he was a dog in Gonzaga. He was very talented, and it's just not working out because he was drafted in such a tough situation with having point guard who's been playing very well this year in Cole Anthony. You got guys like Terrence Ross coming off the bench. You have Franz Wagner. I know Mo Bamba's a center, but just a lot of people who are already in the rotation. It's just tough for him to find his minutes. And when he does, well, he is finding his minutes, I will say, but when he's in for those minutes, he's not really efficient and being able to find the ball in his hands a lot, score. It's a tough fit for him at this moment.
Like you said, good thing is he's a point guard. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Like you said, he's got to find his rhythm, be comfortable who he's playing with, and that takes time. So, we'll see what happens.
Right. And now, last rookie we're going to talk about, not a disappointment, Ayo Dosunmu. I forget.
Say that again.
Ayo Dosunmu.
See, this guy's good.
Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I'll be honest, but it's tough. He was drafted to the Chicago Bulls. In my opinion, he was a steal of the draft. He was drafted 38th overall, and that confused me because I remember watching the whole tournament, watching some college basketball. He was the number 1 player on a number 1 Illinois team. He was very talented, and to see him drop so far, I don't know what happened. Maybe he had bad pre-draft workouts. Not too sure. Maybe a lot of teams saw something in him that they didn't like, but he's a steal of the draft. He's not putting up great numbers at the end of the day, but when he's out on the court, he is so good. He spaces the floor. He hustles every single play. He's a great defender. He can put the ball in the basket when needed. He's only averaging 8.5 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 3.2 assists, but he's ranked number 7 in Rookie of the Year voting.
But for a point guard averaging 8 boards a game, I mean, maybe they use. I don't watch a lot of the Bulls games as much as I should, or whatever. But I'm saying for a point guard, and you said he's 6'5". I mean, to be averaging 8 boards a game, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're playing a different type of scheme with him. That because like I said, that's a lot of boards a game for a point guard.
Right. Right. Definitely. Yeah, so on to the next topic. We're going to be breaking down the 6 top teams in the East, the playoff spots that are safe as of now. We don't want to get into the 7 through 10 and the play-in spots just because that's constantly changing. But these 6 teams pretty much are ahead of the pack. So just to let you guys know the 6 teams real quick. Number 1, the Heat. 2nd place, Sixers. 3rd place, Bucks. 4th place, Bulls. 5th place, Celtics. And 6th place, the Cavaliers. Cavaliers are my favorite team in there so far. Just
definitely the most fun team.
Yes, they weren't expected to be there at all. That's just why I love it. And the Grizzlies on the West, not expected to be second place and have the second best team in the NBA, but they do. So, you want to lead this one?
Yeah, I mean, you got Garland at point guard. I mean, this guy's doing his thing. 21 points a game, 8 assists. I mean, you got Allen, Senna, 16 points, 10 bounds. I mean, they got a lot of depth. I mean, I don't think they have a lot of depth, but, they're definitely a fun team that's been built through the draft. And don't forget, you still got the OG Kevin Love doing his thing.
The one guy left from that championship team.
I mean, do I see them winning the first round? No. But you know what? That gives that fan base hope after LeBron, 86 them was out. But, that's like I said, as a Knicks fan, that's the kind of team like we wish the Knicks were able to build through the draft. You got that hype, you got that excitement. So I like their future, but as a 6-7 seed wherever they at right now, I don't really think they got a shot to go to the second round, but at least they're fun to watch.
Yeah, and you got to remember they have Colin Sexton too.
True.
He's out for the year, unfortunately, but I thought he was going to be the best player on this team going into this year. No one expected anything from them, and they just been playing their hearts out. Darius Garland playing at an all-star level. He was in the all-star game, so just imagine the backcourt of Colin Sexton and Darius Garland.
No doubt.
It's going to be a real
they could
good
both share
team.
the ball, when obviously Sexton was healthy, but it is what it is now.
Yep.
But so what you thinking?
I'm thinking that this team, like you said, built through the draft. Sexton hasn't played a lot, but he's very talented. Garland,
no doubt.
Garland, he's making a very high % of his threes, and he's definitely making a case for most improved player.
And he's a typical point guard. 21 points a game, 8 assists, dishing the ball. I mean, doing his thing. I mean,
he's not just playing for himself.
That's what you want. A guy who's going to dictate, the offense. That's what you want.
And I think the biggest thing for him is he's making a case for most improved player, like I just said.
Right.
When you have a guy who can make such a big leap from, I believe, year 2 to year 3,
Absolutely.
Not many people see that. He wasn't a highly regarded player coming into this year, and he just turned everyone's heads. And it's really been something I've liked to watch because he just has fun when he's out there. He's never you never see a puss in his face. You never see him getting mad at his teammates. He's just a lovable guy who loves his teammates. Yeah. And he just an amazing offensive talent. He's like you said, 8.5 assists almost. He's able to dish the ball, find his teammates. At the end of the day, he's not just chucking threes like a lot of other guys are.
And I think the other talent, the other young guys in that team have elevated, make him step up his game as well. And that's why you see such a big jump in this, would you say, third year now?
Yeah, I believe third year. A big piece that not a lot of people are thinking of, they picked up Karis LeVert at the trade deadline.
That's right.
He's a very solid player. He brings balance to the offensive side and the defensive side. We've seen what he can do for the Brooklyn Nets, and he got traded to the Pacers. He's an absolute baller, especially on the offensive side. He came over to Cleveland. He's out for with the injury, so he's gonna be out for a few weeks, but when he comes back, this team can be dangerous, very, very dangerous. I know Jared Allen's out too, so they're struggling a little bit. But when their team is fully healthy, they're some dogs.
They could definitely
young dogs.
Yeah, they could definitely, like you said, I don't see them going to the second round, but they could definitely have a team on the ropes on the first round.
They can
maybe
be an
6,
underdog.
7 game. You never, who knows?
Yeah, I don't see them coming out of the first round, like you said, but I could see them getting to the second round. Like it wouldn't surprise me.
But definitely gaining confidence as a young
100%.
team.
They're only this is a team that's only going to get better and better and not worse.
For real.
Like the Knicks, they had a good year last year and they're just worse. Like I don't see that happening to them.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Then you got Evan Mobley, like I said before, amazing post scorer and interior defender. He can shoot that 3-ball. Jared Allen, all-star center, just playing awesome. Talk about a player just having fun, just blocking shots, dunking on you.
10 boards a game.
That's a big number, 10 boards a game. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a center, so you would want him to get those boards, but there's centers that don't average 10 boards a game.
Or 16 points a game. I mean, this guy could shoot and, does a dirty work, but still, I mean, it's promising. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that limits the offensive rebounds for all other teams, which is a big thing. You don't want second chance points coming on you.
True.
In the paint. And he's just an awesome rim protector. But you also got Isaac Okoro. He's a second-year player out of Auburn. Excellent defender. He's kind of a 3-and-D type of guy, but his defense is really where he makes his mark. Now, he's fitting in with the Cavs pretty well, but I believe he was injured for a little bit, so he wasn't with them the full time. But now that they're all starting to come back in the near future, I think that this team just has a lot of pieces to the puzzle that, when fully healthy, they're a top tier team, not first, second, third place, but they're up there In the East, definitely.
True.
Kevin Love playing well this year. I have him on my fantasy team. He's been putting up some nice numbers. The OG. We'll call him the OG.
Been there for a minute.
Yep. I just feel like that team wants it more than anyone else. And having guys like a guy like Kevin Love, who has been on this team.
Yeah, if he's healthy
and
he'll
won
make
the
a difference.
championship,
True.
he can really mentor these young talents.
Absolutely. Definitely, like I said, one of the funnest teams to watch in the East.
100%. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Now let's get into a little bit of the Celtics, because I know this is your team.
High on the Celtics.
And
not only because they've been on fire, but in a playoff format where that running and gunning style really doesn't play as well in a half court game. They got length, they got depth, and they got the best defense in the East. And they have that 2-point differential advantage over all the teams, and that's huge. And I just think guys like Tatum, the guy's a beast. I mean, what do you say about him? 26 points a game, 8 bounds.
Yep.
I mean,
I broke it down like this.
Yeah.
When I was breaking down the Celtics, Jason Tatum, exceptional young
beast.
Talent. He can score the ball at will.
Do anything.
His biggest thing is a lot of people can score the ball in the NBA, but not a lot of people know how to score the ball. This man could. He's not the most explosive player in the world, fastest player, but he can sit you down there, size you up, and then step back 3. Just the way he thinks of how he's going to score.
He's not afraid to shoot and pop.
Exactly. He just has a special ability to score the ball at the end of the day. Not a lot of people can score the ball like him.
Agreed.
He's a top 5 scorer in the NBA right now.
Absolutely.
He's just been carrying this team into playoff contention that if you go back a month or so ago, they weren't in playoff contention. They weren't even in the playing games. But all of a sudden,
it clicked.
He wants it more than anyone else pretty much on the offensive side. And when you got him paired with a guy like Jaylen Brown, who's not only a prolific scorer, but a great defender too. And one thing I like the most about Jaylen Brown is he's came out and said this in an interview one time. He said his teacher, because he wasn't the best student or he didn't have the best grades in high school, and his teacher said to him, "I'll look you up in the local county jail once you graduate."
That's motivation.
And now last year he just signed the max contract extension. And I just hope that teacher is looking at him right now and saying,
"I think that
he's making more than I ever have in my whole life."
I think that teacher was trying to light a spark under his butt to say, "Yo, man, you got potential, and if you don't, try to achieve that potential, it's a waste of talent." And I think that really resonated with him, and now he's taking his game to the next level.
Right.
So that's great. I like to hear positive stuff like that.
I just like how he can guard 1 through 4. He could score at all 3 levels, and then. Your biggest thing, they have a lot of big bodies. Grant Williams, solid power forward. He does everything right and at an efficient level.
Then you got the OG there.
Al Horford.
Dude, man. These guys are averaging These guys average like 9 boards a game. I mean, these are big men. And like you said, you got Tatum, 8 boards a game. You got Brown. I mean, that interior defense, like I said, to me, in the playoffs, it's a half-court game. You're not running and gunning.
Right.
The game slows down. Timeouts, crucial minutes, pressure, and I just like that team. When having the best defense, and like I said, having a 2-point differential over the rest of the teams in the league, to me, after watching this game over 40 years, to me, that's huge.
Right. Yeah, definitely have to agree there. And we're also forgetting about Ennis Freedom.
Yeah,
I remember him on the Knicks. He's a double machine, 10-10 machine.
Why did we trade him again? Can you remind me?
Because we're the Knicks.
Typical, right?
Typical. So, I mean, his offensive rebounding is probably the most important thing to me. Remember watching him on the Knicks, but I watch him on the Celtics. But obviously, being a Knicks fan and watch those games every night, he was a one bright spot. He was grabbing every single rebound that you could possibly get, mainly on the offensive side too.
See, that's the dirty work right there. A guy who's going to do the dirt. Anybody could grab a defensive, but a shot goes up, you're going to box out and do the dirty work and get the offensive board, and then kick it back out. To me, that's another emphasis of why I think they have a shot to really go deep into the East.
Right. And something I'd like to bring up is, obviously, Jason Tatum is your best player. But besides him, I think the biggest reason that they're making this run that they're on right now is Marcus Smart. So he's typically a shooting guard. And they moved him to the point guard after the All-Star break. And that man has been on a tear. He's averaging almost 8 assists per game. He could shoot the ball at a very efficient, high level.
Definitely.
But his assists, his playmaking, it's just rose to another level.
Yeah,
it's
playing with confidence.
ridiculous.
For real.
And that's really what this team's been thriving off of lately, because obviously he's one of the best defensive players in the league as well. With his offensive playmaking ability, it's just been opening up the court that no one, because he never had to play point guard, so the Celtics never thought that this team could fit like this, and it is.
Yeah,
so
it's made a huge difference.
Huge difference. But then you got role players coming off the bench. Point guard Peyton Pritchard. He's a really solid backup point guard. Nothing special. He's not going to give you 50 points a night or anything, but he's a very solid. You need Marcus Smart, your point guards, whoever they may be in the game. You need them to take a break. Peyton Pritchard's going to come in. He's going to give you some good minutes. He's going to give you good numbers as well. So that's a good backup point guard. Talking about depth, they got it. And the team was one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, but after every single adjustment they made, I just have to say they've been on the tear. They did the right things at the right time.
And to me, like they're just playing with tremendous confidence. I mean, I watched that game last Sunday when they played the Nets, and it was a tight game, and I never felt that they were going to lose that game. They just played with confidence. They got boards. They were dishing it out, and you could just feel it when you're watching a good team like that. You're just like, oh wow, this team is there. They're ready to go to the next level. The
intensity, I think,
absolutely,
is what a lot of other players don't have. They're currently the 5th seed in the East.
And rising.
Then their defense is just going to make them better.
Absolutely.
So now we can move on. You want to move on and talk about the Bulls right now?
Yeah, let's do this. I mean, I know right now they're little hit with the injury bug a little bit.
Yeah, but this is a team. We talk about the Cavs, a team that was built through the draft. This team was built through free agency.
Goodness. Yeah.
Free agency, man.
Yeah, for
you
real.
put together a team of free agents over time. You put together guys like Lonzo Ball, brought over in free agency, DeMar DeRozan in free agency.
Yeah.
You got a lot of guys that, you bringing them over. Alex Caruso.
Yep.
You brought them over not thinking anything of it, but they're your best players on your team right now. So they're performing at an exponential rate right now.
Definitely.
They just put together the perfect team because you got Caruso, great defender, gritty player. Levine, he was brought here in a trade a few years ago.
Yeah.
Levine is a great scorer. He scores at will, all 3 levels. Then you drafted Ayo Dosunmu, who, like we just talked about, great rookie, hustles more than anybody. He does the gritty work along with Caruso.
Yeah.
Vucevic, another free agent. I think they traded, actually.
Almost 11.5 boards a game right there.
Yep. Vucevic, great player. He spaces out the floor because when you have a 7-foot center who's able to shoot the ball like him, that's going to force your center who's guarding him to come out, which makes way for everyone else. And if you don't guard him, he's a Nick killer. So trust me, I know this. He's gonna make that 3. And he can score at all 5 spots on the floor. DeRozan, one of my top 5 MVPs.
Beast.
He's been playing great.
Guy's a beast.
He's you give him a mid-range shot, he's not going to miss it. You can put 10 players on him for all I care. He's not missing that.
He's a guy you want to pay to see.
Real clutch, MVP caliber player. He could put up 40 any night. Then another guy a lot of people forget about, Patrick Williams, who they drafted a few years ago, I believe 2 years ago. He's a great interior defender, and even on offense, he's starting to work on his little post shot.
Good defender.
I know you have all the stats on these guys, but this team is they're hit with the injury bug, but they're a very, very good team when healthy.
What worries me about them is that their defense lacks a little bit, and like I said, in the East, I mean, you're gonna need some defense to shut these teams down.
All right,
and I'm just 100%. A little concerned going forward that they lack that defensive depth. And like I said, some players have some nagging injuries. Levine, Vucevic, I know has been hurt day to day. I mean, he'll be fine, but let's see how it plays out. I mean, they're definitely fun. And let's see how they roll into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot of talk about the Bulls. Their offensive ability, and then you got Caruso, Lonzo Ball. They're your defensive players, Patrick Williams. So
no doubt.
They're very even. They're great offensive players, are also great defensive players at the end of the day. Lonzo Ball, great floor general. I like him.
Only gonna get better.
Then we got the Bucks.
Oh, the Greek Freak.
What do you want to say about him?
I mean, listen. I know right now they're not the top team, but I mean, how can you go against the Greek Freak? I mean, this guy is just a beast. I mean, look what he did to the Nets in the conference finals. I'm sorry, excuse me, the second round. look what they do. Who they play in the conference finals? They played Atlanta.
Hawks, yeah.
They played. I mean, look what they did to the Suns. I mean, they were down to it. The
2-0.
guy was scoring 50 points a game. I mean,
He was
just
hitting his free throws too.
I mean, this guy was just unstoppable. I mean, I know right now they don't rank as the top team in East, but like, would anybody be surprised they go back? I mean,
yeah,
like,
and with
come on.
Giannis now being able to shoot the ball at a much more efficient level.
I mean, I know Brook Lopez was a big part of the team last year on defense, but I know he's gearing up. They got him doing, he's training. They're figuring he's going to be back soon. So if they get him back just on defense, you got 2 7-footers. I mean, just with the talent they got alone, I mean, they're a deep
and
team.
Giannis is also a defensive player of the year candidate
beast.
too. So what he can do in offense, he'll do even better on defense. How do you guard him when you have a 7-footer with a wingspan of 10 feet who's 250 pounds coming down the
Like
lane?
a freight train.
What do?
You can't.
You step in there and out for the series.
And don't forget Portis. I mean, Portis is center. I mean, averaging almost 16 points a game, almost 10 boards a game. I mean,
and he's shooting at a very, very high percentage.
I mean,
Where'd he come from? New York Knicks, man.
That's right.
Ugh.
Sad to say. But like you say, you still got Middleton. You got Holiday. I mean, this team is deep.
Yeah,
and they know how to win.
Right. I think last year the addition of Drew Holiday is really what put them over the edge because Giannis was going to leave the Bucks.
There was definitely some speculation.
He unfollowed all the Bucks, all his teammates on social media. Yeah. He was very unhappy.
Yeah, he wanted that big piece.
Drew Holiday he brings such a balance of offensive ability and defensive ability. He's a first-team All-Defender every year, and he can give you a 20-point game like consistently.
Yeah.
Which is obviously not great numbers, but when you can pour in 20, you have the Greek Freak pouring in 50. Chris Middleton giving you 25. Yeah. You got your shooters, Pat Cunningham, Grayson Allen. You got Bobby Portis, who's been playing very, very well.
And they're a great defensive team as well. I mean, they could do it all. So, like I said, you can't count them out. I mean,
right. I could definitely, when healthy, when you get Brook Lopez back and everyone, I can definitely see them right back in the championship.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Absolutely.
They're a very tough team to have to face in. Yes, you might beat them one night in a 1-game series, but in a 7-game series,
are you going to stop the Greek Freak?
Are you going to be
in
better
a 7-game series?
The Greek Freak?
Come
7
on,
games in a row.
man. The guy's a beast.
No. Now, second to last, we're going to talk about the 76ers. Oof. Now, this trade,
I don't know, man.
I think, as of now, it makes them a very, very tough opponent. Because you did give up a good amount of depth with giving up Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, but you got back James Harden. Ben Simmons wasn't playing. We covered this a lot in my last podcast, but Ben Simmons wasn't playing, and Joel Embiid was leading this team to the 4th to 5th place area in the Eastern Conference.
True.
Now, yes, you gave up 2 good role players, but you got back one of the best players in the NBA. This then right away brought them to, I think they only lost 1 game, and that was to the Nets, ironically, since the trade.
Harden's playing like a beast. I mean, maybe he's not scoring as many points used in the past, but this guy's averaging 11.2 assists a game.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's one thing he's overlooked.
This guy's passing the ball all over the place. But the thing that worries me about them is, Harden shrinks in the playoffs.
100%.
I mean, how many times this guy been in the playoffs and they don't get to the finals?
Always eliminated.
And B, did it have the depth?
I'm
concerned about. They're a good team on paper. Joel Embiid. Obviously, I think he's the second or third best player in the league. There's no doubt this guy could do it all.
Right.
But, in the playoffs, I mean, could they win a big-time series?
Yeah, that's the question.
I mean, that's the thing I'm concerned about with them.
Yeah,
losing Curry. I mean, that guy did a lot for them.
Right, and he's on the Nets now, dumping in 25-5. So he is a big essential piece, but Joel Embiid, he's a guy who chokes in the playoffs, losing to the Raptors when they got close, and he's in first place all these years. Never really gets anywhere with it.
All fairness, I mean, that Philly team was a young team with Simmons.
That's true.
So I give him a pass on that. But I hear what you're saying.
Harden can't be intimidated in the playoffs. I feel
he shrinks.
I don't think Joel Embiid's really gonna get intimidated. He's really not a guy to get intimidated. But Harden cannot shrink in the playoffs.
And he
has in
the past.
Exactly.
So that's what worries me.
That's what worries me. It's a tough thing to question until you could see when the time comes.
Absolutely. But that, like I said, that depth, guys coming off the bench, who are they going to play?
Right.
That's the thing that worries me. Who could pick up the slack?
You have Danny Green, who's a shooter.
Yeah.
But he's getting older, and he's not performing like he used to. Still a good player, don't get me wrong.
No doubt.
You have a defensive player like Matisse Thybulle. They just picked up DeAndre Jordan, so defensively, and then you have Joel Embiid, who's a great defensive player as well.
I think more at this point, Jordan's just a body. I mean,
he's definitely getting older, so.
But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you got guys like Tobias Harris who are very talented offensive players.
Yeah, definitely.
So they definitely are stacked on offense. Yes, Tyrese Maxey, great offensive player. They have the offense. Do they have the defense and the experience to get past a lot of these teams?
I think Harden is definitely elevated. You see what they've been playing. I mean, this team is winning. But like I said, in the playoff, if Joel Embiid gets into foul trouble, which sometimes he does, I mean, who's coming off the bench to relieve these guys?
You got DeAndre Jordan, your backup center. He
can't score.
Cool. Yeah.
And like I said, Harden in the past, he has shrunk in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he talks a lot of game, but when it comes down to it, how many championships does he have?
None.
Goose eggs,
and
right?
He's a free agent at the end of this year, so they got to sign him.
He underachieved with the Nets. I mean, I get it. That was this disgruntled whole situation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
And he's a free agent, so if he can't win here after forcing his way out of 2 franchises already, who's really gonna? Obviously, a team will, but who's really gonna sit there and be like, oh, we want this player. He's gonna lead us to the championship. When time and time again with all-stars and all-stars and all-stars on your team.
Wouldn't it be great if he went to the Celtics? I know I'm on the Celtics bandwagon, but come on now.
He's a Knicks fan. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, but all right, last but not least, the Miami Heat.
On top
first place in the East. A team that people knew were going to be good, but not this good.
No.
Not this good.
And I think Spoelstra is a great coach. I mean, obviously, Pat Riley. I mean, this guy's a mastermind.
There's a reason that
he's been here for 40 years.
Exactly. There's a reason they've been here so many years.
This guy's a genius.
Yep. There's a reason that they haven't fired him after not winning a championship since LeBron, D. Wade, and those guys. But let's break this team down. They're a hard and gritty team.
And they got
great defenders.
Great defenders. Second best defense in the East.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're up there with the Celtics as far as defense goes, and they can shoot the ball.
Yeah, they got very great volume scores, but guys like Bam Adebayo, who are great defenders.
10 boards a game.
And great offensive players.
No doubt.
There goes Jimmy Butler in the same case. When you have a player, because usually you have players that are great defense players and you have players that are great offensive players.
Right.
When you have a guy that is both of them in one person,
balance,
not good, but both great.
Yeah, both elevated at that.
It's tough to find. So now you can have a guy on the floor, not one but two, who are great offensive and defensive players. Then you have Kyle Lowry, great floor general, who can also score. He can shoot the ball.
Getting a little long in the tooth. Now he's getting old,
but he's still a very good player.
Still
especially to just the point guard on a team where he doesn't have to do a lot.
No stress on that team at all.
Exactly. So he brings in a good amount of help because he can shoot, score, get to the basket, and he's just a good floor general.
He's a winner too.
Mm-hmm. They have Max Strus, I believe. I forget his name honestly, but he's someone that
I'll let you take that one.
He's someone that came from the G League. Not a lot of people thought he was going to be good. Like no one expected anything of him. He can't miss a three. This guy is one of the best three-point shooters in the league. So now you have him spacing the floor. No one thought that they'd have to worry about him this year. Then you have my favorite player on the Heat, Tyler Hero, just a white boy who thinks he's a thug. He thinks he's a thug. He has that mean mug every time. A lot of people think he's going to get the 5-year, $184 max extension this year as a bench player.
$1 million, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Million, my bad. Million contract extension in the offseason as a sixth man. Not a lot of people can get that as a sixth man. I don't know if anyone has ever got that as a sixth man ever. He's a great talent. His first year he came in was the bubble year. He had a great year. They made it to the finals. His second year in the league, he fell off a lot. Not many people saw anything in him. He wasn't putting up good numbers, and he said going into the offseason, right before the season started, I'm going to silence the haters. Everyone, remember everything you said, because this year I'm coming different. I'm going to be one of the best players. He backed that up.
He definitely reinvented himself.
No one, and don't lie, no one thought he was going to be able to back it up.
That's why they are where they are right now.
He giving triple-double sometimes.
Definitely playing with a chip on his shoulder for real.
And I think a lot of people like him, like players in the league, need that. Because some people fold under pressure. Like, look at Ben Simmons. He got a little scared, fold under pressure. Tyler Hero, he's there
Stepped
playing with
up.
that chip on his shoulder. He likes
doubt.
that. And a big piece as well is Victor Oladipo is finally coming back from injury. He's
Absolutely.
on minute restrictions.
Yeah.
So he's only getting like 20 minutes or so a night. But that's a big piece because if even those 20 minutes, that can be very valuable 20 minutes to give some people like Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, give them breathers. But he's a very great talent as well. If he can get off that minute restriction, let's say down the line in the playoffs, this team is very, very dirty. Markieff Morris and P.J. Tucker are also great 3-and-D players, especially defensive players. They're tough, gritty players. They're not going to let anyone do anything to them. Markieff Morris is finally coming back from that injury after Jokic pushed him. He was out for 4 months. 4 months. I think that was a little bit of a little sissy injury, but I won't say anything.
Whatever.
So, and then you have Duncan Robinson, a great three-point shooter.
Yeah.
I love his story. He didn't have a lot of offers coming out of high school. He had to go to Division III, played ball there for a year. Then Michigan offered him a contract. They offered him a spot on the team, scholarship. He got drafted late in the draft a few years ago, and now he's one of the best shooters.
Like I said, I mean, he's doing his thing. I mean, 11 points a game. I mean, obviously, let's see how his game progresses in the future.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely a long-term piece to this Miami Heat team. Great. He's shooting guard, small forward. He does start for them. Then you have Jimmy Butler, obviously your best player. He's putting up MVP numbers this year. He does it all.
I mean, did anybody think that they were going to get to the finals in the bubble that year?
Absolutely not.
Come on,
that was a fourth place team.
And he carried the team on his back. So.
Yep. So I know I stress it a lot, but him and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo just. That defensive presence,
no doubt,
it's tough.
Yeah,
definitely tough.
Agreed.
They do share the ball well, too. It's not like a lot of one-man game because they do have a lot of
play well off each other.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, before we move on to the next topic, who is coming out of the Eastern Conference?
Right now,
is it your Celtics?
On March 13th?
Yes.
Listen, as much as I'm on the Celtics bandwagon. How can you go against the Bucks and the Greek Freak? This guy is a beast. When you have the best player in the game who could do it all, who when his back's against the wall, like you've seen against the Nets, Atlanta, the Suns in the final, this guy just showed you he ain't going to go out like that.
Yup.
And that's the guy you want. You want a guy who's going to say, I'll put the team on my back, and I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Right.
And he's done it.
Right. And
so, like I said, as much as I love the Celtics,
you just can't bet it. You can't bet against them.
How could you?
I would like to see some other teams get to the finals just to mix it up after all these years, but I can't go against the Greek Freak. I really can't.
No.
Unless the Nets can step it up.
Oh God, come on. Is Simmons gonna play? What's the deal?
Apparently he's returning soon.
Dude, I know everybody, has been on the bandwagon. I never believed in that team because, they gave up a lot. They traded hard and they got back a nice amount. But what is Ben Simmons? What is he? He shrunk.
Judge.
He didn't even want to dribble the ball up. He didn't want to shoot. He couldn't hit free throw.
Afraid to go up against the layup.
I'm not making trying to put him down or anything like that, but you could see clearly his head wasn't right in those series, and he just shrunk. And he signed that year or the year before he signed
the year before
a mega contract. So like you signed was it a 4 or 5 year deal? I forgot what he signed.
4, I believe.
To stay in Philly and then you shrink.
Force your way out.
Like it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. So what is he gonna do in the big stage?
Yeah, I don't think the players should be able to force themselves out.
No.
Of their teams. Yeah,
absolutely
it stinks for them, but
absolutely not.
You're not you're thinking too much of politics. Just play your sport.
Right. But like I said, what does that say about his character? And I'm not knocking the basketball skills. I'm saying up, as far as character goes. What is he going to do in a big spot in a big series when he's got to bring the ball up? Yes, KD does bring the ball up a lot, but there's going to be times that he's going to have to bring the ball up, and he gets fouled in a big situation. Is he gonna shrink like he's done in the past?
He better hope Kyrie can play.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
And it shouldn't be a game of hope. It should be a game of I'm one of the best players in the NBA. I am confident. I can do this. I play point guard. I don't got to worry about it. But
and like you said, as you've seen, they haven't played well down the stretch. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games.
It's rough.
So how good have they gotten with these extra? Yes, Curry's a beast. Seth Curry's playing well for them, but How many games have they won? I mean,
they're not playing good.
That's what I'm
What
saying.
is it right now? 8th place in the East currently.
it's 8th place. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
very strange.
Very strange. Something's the chemistry's not right. They kind of remind me a little bit of the Clippers 2 years ago when, they had Paul George and Kawhi, and they just couldn't gel. Everybody's like, are they gonna gel? They're gonna gel. And then they got knocked out in the second round. Everybody's like, oh wow, we didn't see that coming.
Yep.
I kind of see that with this team.
Yeah, I definitely.
Something's
could agree
just
with that.
not right. The chemistry's not right.
Yeah, it's just and it's not like it's early in the season when you could say, okay, we have the season to gel together. No,
not
there's
at all.
about 15 games left in the whole entire league, and you're in a playing spot right now in the whole entire season.
And like you said, Simmons, what is he? Nobody knows what he is. I mean, you like to think he's the player he once was, but I don't know. A lot of question marks there.
Yeah.
A lot of question marks for real.
All right, but channeling into the new topic, a little bit of Knicks talk right now.
Oh, okay.
Just want to talk about Cam Reddish.
All right.
Newly acquired him about a month or so ago.
Yep.
At first, he was struggling to fit into the rotation. Thibodeau said he has to earn his minutes. Then he came out and said he didn't want to even trade for him. But you traded Kevin Knox, a player you didn't play at all, and a first-round pick that wasn't even yours. And
Right.
And if it's 18th or higher, the pick, then it keeps on getting pushed back year and year and year. And the way that the Hornets are playing, it is going to be probably 18 or higher.
True.
So why do you want to burst his confidence and tell him you didn't even want him on your team?
Thibodeau always hard on the rookies. Wherever he's gone with the Bulls, wherever he's gone. I think he coached in Minnesota for a little, right? Thibodeau.
Minnesota, yeah.
He was always hard on the rookies. I mean, he's old school. You got to earn it. You know what I'm saying? You got to earn it. You got to fight it. You got to fight. You got to want it.
If you're a rookie to his team, new player to his team,
he's not the kind of guy who's just going to give you the minutes. You got to earn it. You got to do it in practice. And I think, we don't see what goes on behind closed doors, but I think
hard for us to judge. But finally, he was starting to earn his minutes and get into there. He was getting 20 minutes a game, throwing up 20 points a game. He was playing really well.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the other day, Cam Reddish out for a season due to shoulder injury. He fell on his shoulder funny. He was playing well that game, fell on the shoulder funny, out for the season. It's a right shoulder AC joint injury. So
that's going to take some time.
So definitely some time. So it's just a real unfortunate situation for him. Just finding his way in there and starting to play well. He's playing with his best friend RJ Barrett. They both played at Duke together.
Yep.
And it's just a crappy situation. Put him great numbers for him. Young player, a lot of talent. So I think that he is with the Knicks again. I think that during the offseason, that's where he's really going to be able to find his minutes.
Agreed.
And I think it's just going to be a really good fit for him. He's a great talent, a great defensive player in the making.
Well, hopefully, with him playing and getting a chance to play, he realizes that he could crack that bubble and get in there and do his thing. Yeah. Like I said, keep gaining confidence going forward. So we'll see.
Yeah. So hopefully for the young guy, everything works out. But your award so far for the NBA before the season's basically over. So let's try and predict the awards. So we're gonna go Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, MVP, Most Improved Player. So I'm gonna give mine. I got Defensive Player of the Year being Giannis Antetokounmpo. I just think he's a really, really hard defensive player. 9 times out of 10, if you're in the paint, you're not scoring on him. He has a great length, and he's great at altering shots.
No doubt.
So that helps. My Rookie of the Year, I had being Evan Mobley. Just because Cade Cunningham's starting to come up in the rankings, but throughout the whole year, Mobley's been leading his team to a great place in the East. He's been proving time and time again that he's a very steady player. Exactly. So Coach of the Year, Taylor Jenkins. And for those of you who don't know, that's the Grizzlies head coach. It should be a no-brainer for the league that he should be the Coach of the Year because nobody thought that they were supposed to be here. Nobody at all.
Built through the draft, man.
The second best player in the whole entire league. Built through the draft. Their coach, he's coaching
fearless.
Great. Most valuable players, Joel Embiid to me. I just think he's
playing on another level.
Another level. There's a lot of great people like there's Jokic, DeMar, Ja, but I just think that he's leading his team into the second place in the Eastern Conference.
Almost averaging 30 points a game.
He's just an unstoppable
force. For a big
force.
man? Come on.
You can compare Ja, also leading his team to the second place in the Western Conference, but Ja, he just has a little more supporting cast around him. I know that the Sixers have Embiid, but He's more dominant. Joel Embiid's more dominant, in my opinion.
No doubt.
And then most improved player, like I said before, Darius Garland, in my opinion. He's just ridiculous numbers. No one's an all-star compared to last year. Like, he's Jared Allen, but he's not really most improved player case. I just think Darius Garland, great point guard, executes everything well.
21 points, 8 assists a game. I mean, this guy is just getting better and better as the year goes on.
Yep, 100%. So let me hear your rankings, if you can give them.
I pretty much agree with you. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, to me, Garland's the beast. I mean, this guy could do it all. I mean, and like you said, he's been getting better and better. So I'm pretty much on board with you. So I'll let you take that lead on that.
Yeah. I
agree.
Yeah. It's really, I think things are pretty simple with the exception of MVP because it's such a tight race. I think everything's pretty simple. Yeah. And it just, I don't know, if you don't think that Taylor Jenkins isn't the coach of the year, if you don't think Mobley's not your rookie of the year, Darius Garland's not your MVP, I don't know. I think it's pretty clear.
They definitely got the talent, making him look better as a coach as well, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I just want to chat out real quick into two more topics. They're going to be quick because, we don't only talk about basketball on this podcast, but just want to dive into a little bit of MLB real quick just to, expand on everything. But the MLB is back. So the MLB and MLB PA reached an agreement on a new contract.
Goodness.
So basically there was a lockout in the MLB for those of you who don't know, and players wanted more money. Owners wanted not to give more money, so they had to come up with an agreement. Basically, there was a lockout for about a little over a month or so.
No, I think it was like 90 days,
90
right
days,
after the World Series. So it was a long.
Yeah.
So was that from the end of November to? Oh, my math is terrible. To the beginning of March. That's a long time.
Yeah. So a few months. There was a lockout for. They were making very, very minimal progress. They had to start canceling some series, and then all of a sudden, the other day, MLB's back. They reached an agreement.
Yeah.
So, what the agreement is: full schedules will be played, 162 games, increased minimum salaries. There is
700,000, right?
Yep. There's a universal DH, which a lot of people like.
Definitely.
12-team expanded postseason.
Definitely add more excitement to teams that are, they got those runaway division leaders. You know what I mean? That second wild card. What do? It gives teams a lot of hope, and it gives the fan base a lot of hope, which is what you want to give.
Yes, definitely. And with these expanded playoff season, it gives them more money to be made to a lot of. That's what the owners wanted, more money. Obviously, you want more money as a player. I need to find another source of income. Playing that, and then you get your whole 162 games.
Yeah, I read that they're going to make up some of these games, the first and second series that they're going to play doubleheaders. But it's going to be full 9-inning doubleheaders.
Yep, exactly. 9-inning doubleheaders, and there's no more base runners to start off the
second base.
To start off. You didn't like that?
I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I didn't really like the 7-inning games. I feel like
I know. It didn't feel like legit baseball.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to first off, you're gonna get more money in my opinion if you can get a full game.
True.
So they have to think money wise, business wise.
True.
So the minimum salary starting in 2022, everything's increased to $700,000 2023, $720,000 24, $740,000 2025, $760,000 2026.
This is minimum, ladies and gentlemen.
$780,000. Minimum.
Should have played baseball, huh?
Should have, right? Making minimum wage $12 an hour at Walmart. These guys are making minimum wage $700,000.
It's crazy. Definitely crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, who wins the World Series this year, in your opinion?
Oh man,
are you gonna say it?
I would never. Listen, I'm a Met fan. I would never, ever, ever in a million years say the Mets. But as we've seen last year, I mean, the Braves were kind of a middle of nowhere team, and they made some trades, and they got relief pitching. They got hot with Freddie Freeman. Obviously, they had injuries, but they just took off. And with baseball now, it's not about who the best team in April is. It's about who's the best team in September going into the playoffs. So,
do you think your Mets have a good chance of?
I think they have depth.
Starting
pitchers? I think they have depth for once, and they have a great coach who knows how to win. He's a great motivator and knows the game. He knows how to massage egos a little bit. Obviously, Lindor last year with the thumbs down to the fans, which was a huge no-no in New York. Nobody's going to tolerate
Julius
that.
Randle does it this year.
Nobody's going to tolerate that in New York. It's
No
all
sense.
about effort in New York. You give effort, fans will love you, even if you lose. So let's see. I mean, is Jacob deGrom healthy? Obviously, Serge is a beast. He's going to pitch no matter what.
Right.
So let's see what happens. It's
Yeah.
too early right now. I'd be lying to you. I got to brush up on my MLB.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I'm a Yankees fan. I would love the Yankees to win, but we all know they're not going to win.
They need some depth on pitching. I don't even know who their rotation is.
Like, we got rid of Corey Kluber.
Who's coming
I know
back?
That. It's,
Who's
I know
healthy?
we have Garrett Cole, but I mean, he choked last year
shrunk,
after
man.
his
He shrunk.
little spider attack
He
incident.
shrunk. He shriveled up,
wasn't
man.
able to- it was bad.
Against
so,
Celtics, that one game play against, excuse me, on basketball against the Red Sox, he shrunk. He shriveled up.
That was embarrassing. I remember I went out. I'm older
$300
now.
million.
I went out with my dad, my friends after work. We all went out to a sports bar down or a little restaurant to watch the games, packed with Yankee fans. Everyone was out by like the 6th inning. It was the first time I'm really doing that. I'm growing up. It was such
They
a
shriveled,
terrible
man.
first experience to do.
Terrible.
Just to watch
terrible.
them.
But
it
we'll
was
see.
embarrassing, but
See what they
hopefully,
get.
Season's still young. See what people
See what
do.
they get in free agency. I mean, like you said, guys are
Probably
moving
get a
around.
shortstop.
Yeah,
we need a shortstop.
Yeah,
So
Glaber might not be the
one,
answer.
one or two more of the elite shortstops that we're trying to acquire, but
True.
we'll see. All right, last topic, NFL. Just gonna break down some of the news on NFL. I broke down these on my TikToks, so if you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. That's AAU Dream Team as well. But so in recent news, Calvin Ridley has been suspended. He was betting on the NFL games. There's no inside. He had no inside information, at least to help his case out.
To me, this is just a matter of time. I mean, listen, gambling is legal now, so why wouldn't these guys legally gamble?
As long as they're not trying to throw games, like he got in trouble. He bet on the Falcons. Obviously, he's not allowed, so it's not allowed. But why is that bad that you're betting on your team to win?
Well, because Pete Rose, a legendary baseball player for Cincinnati Reds, I'm sure that people know. I mean, when he was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, he was betting on his own team to win. And who knows if he was betting on his team to lose. I mean, there's many different parts, drop pass, this, that. You can't have that. But like I said, in a world where gambling is legalized now, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be more and more players who are going to get caught doing this stuff.
But what he got screwed with was, so he came out and acknowledged it. Calvin Ridley came out and acknowledged it on Twitter, saying that, yes, I bet, I don't have an issue, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I only bet $1,500 on 3 different games, right? So he's letting everyone know. Everyone's like, all right, at least he's coming out. But yesterday, NFL investigations saw that he bet not $1,500, but a total of $3,900 on 8 different games.
Of course.
On 6 different games, excuse me. 5 of those were parlays, which is when you bet on multiple games at one time. And he bet on the Falcons a total of 1 time to win, at least not to lose. But still, you're an NFL young star, right? After this year, you were going to make $11 million this year. I'm sure you weren't going to make $11 million from your bets. After this season, you were eligible for a contract extension. Why? You were going to get a max contract. You were one of the best players at your position. Why throw it away?
Well, like you said, these gambling sites are in bed with all these sports leagues now. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
You're going to see more and more of this.
Right.
And, till something big happens, till big name player gets involved who's throwing a game or something like that, then, who knows, man? It's going to open up a whole other can of worms for this.
You don't want to be called throwing. That's the word. If you're betting, at least your teammates will have respect for you at the end of it. Still,
but
you're betting on a team. But if I ever found out a teammate of mine was trying to throw a game, that's when.
But gambling, if not monitored, it could become a disease, and you don't know what could happen down the road.
Craig Carton from one of the talk shows we listen to.
Sports Radio 66, right?
Yep. If you guys don't know about him, he went to jail because he was a very addicted gambler, a lot of debt, he owed money to a lot of people. Went to jail for a few years, but because Calvin Ridley came out and said, I don't have a gambling problem, I only bet this much money. He said, Craig Carton came out and said, it's not about the amount of money you bet, it's the amount of times that you bet. He said he was in rehab with people who had dollar scratch-off addictions.
Yes.
So it's not about the amount of money, it's about how many times, and can you control it? Can you really control it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Which is
definitely a disease that could if not monitored, could get out of control quick for anyone, not just a professional athlete, but for anyone.
Exactly, yeah.
You know.
So, next up, Russell Wilson headed over to the Denver Broncos.
Great
The Seahawks
trade.
receive Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 5th-round pick. Broncos get Wilson and a 4th.
I don't know what the Seahawks are thinking by trading Russell Wilson. I mean, this guy is still in the prime of his career.
Right.
This guy's a proven winner. I mean, you signed Pete Carroll to a coaching extension. This guy's in his. I'm not saying there's anything wrong about being 70 years old, but to now you're going to have a rebuild. This guy's an older coach. I mean, Bobby Wagner, I think they released him.
He came in the same year as Wilson.
This guy's a beast. I mean, I just don't know where they go forward. You know, as far as the Broncos go, I mean, this team this is the piece, man. This is like the Broncos getting like Peyton Manning. This is like the Bucks getting Tom Brady. Like this is the missing piece.
Right. And you gotta think if like the pick for the Seahawks, if the picks don't work out or anything, you just screwed yourself completely.
But see, Denver really wasn't an awful team last year. So these are going to be
missing that QB.
Yeah,
basically.
they're going to be. Seattle's getting mid-level picks, and they gave what's his name all that money they got it from the Jets. Was it Jamal Adams?
Oh yeah, for the Seahawks.
I mean,
yes.
you gave him,
and he's not playing great.
I don't understand him. That was a king's ransom the Jets got back in that trade.
Yeah. Now, does this trade make the Broncos contenders? And before you think about that, think of their division. You got Las Vegas, right? Let's say they're most likely going to be better than Las Vegas. But then you got the Chargers.
True.
And then you got Kansas City.
I think Kansas City's got to take care of their defense. And I think last year, I mean, something's going on with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he shrunk a little bit.
Right.
And I know everybody loves Andy Reid, but Andy Reid always worries me in a tight game. To me, he never makes the adjustments in the second half. Right. And that was evident against the Bucks in the Super Bowl last year, and even against Cincinnati. I mean, they had the lead going into the second, and they couldn't make it. They couldn't make adjustments. And you know, that's what I think the problem is done. But they still got a lot of talent.
I could see them definitely being better than Las Vegas. The Chargers, I'm iffy about just because young stud quarterback. I know you're very high on him, Justin Herbert.
Guy's a beast.
But I still think he's young.
No doubt, he's got growth.
So he's still gonna have some growth problems.
Yes.
The Chiefs do scare me, but let's say they're second place in the division. I think they still definitely secure a wild card spot.
Oh, no doubt. They're gonna be there in the end. But Patrick Mahomes, listen, this guy's one of the best quarterbacks. And this guy's a franchise. He's gonna be there for 15, 20 years. He's great. I mean, you're not always gonna win the Super Bowl. You're not always gonna get the Super Bowl unless you're friggin' New England with Tom Brady and Belichick. Right. But they're always gonna be in the mix. Right. But to me, the Broncos, that's the piece, man. That's the piece. I could see them go all the way.
I agree. Yes. And now Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay 4 years, $200 million, $50 million a year, $153 guaranteed, highest paid NFL player, and they used their franchise tag on Devontae Adams. Obviously, he's not happy about that. He wants to make more, but
that's just a year. You know, I mean, he's still going to get paid. Devontae Adams still going to get paid a nice amount. But listen, man, Aaron Rodgers, great player, but he shrinks.
Yes.
You know, something I don't know. I just don't think he has that hunger late in games. He's not willing to do whatever it takes in a big spot. And I don't know what, maybe it's between the ears with him, but you've seen it time and time again.
Right.
So is it their year finally? I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to make that assumption, decision, whatever, but we'll see.
I think that they get to the NFC East. Obviously, they're in the NFC East, but I think they get to
title game?
The title game, but do I see them getting there? I really don't know because they always choke.
I mean, like
they always choke.
How many
so no
times
matter how
could you
talented he is,
they shrink.
Choke. Yeah, he got his one championship, but
should have at least 2 or 3 more.
Oh, at least one of the easily. So long been one of the best quarterbacks on such a great
team. Easily.
And now this is my favorite trade to close it out. The Washington Commanders trade for Carson Wentz.
Oh my God!
Best trade to ever happen. No,
dude, this guy is
the
an
worst
anomaly,
trade.
Man.
It was a horrible fit.
I don't get him. This guy has got a big arm, but Philadelphia Eagle fans, they just did him in ugly, man. And he shrunk. Talk about play who shrunk. This guy, I mean, down the stretch, Indianapolis reunited with Frank Reich, former offensive coordinator of the Eagles, reunited with him in Indy. last game of the year they wet the bed in Jacksonville. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah,
man.
right. They just needed that
I
to
mean,
secure
just
a spot.
making dumb throws. Like, what do you do? Like, get your head in the game.
Yeah.
They could have him. I mean, I know.
I just think it's a bad. But Washington, you need a safety more than anything, right? I believe they released Landon Collins.
Yeah.
So you could have used your third rounders on
Yeah.
maybe get a safety and use your first round pick for a quarterback.
Doesn't make any sense.
Carson, you're wasting your receiver Terry McLaurin's career. He's one of the best young talents in the league, and you're just wasting it.
I just don't get that. I mean, that to me, that division is so upside down with the Giants and the Redskins and
like fakest team Cowboys.
I mean, I like the Philly. I mean, I think they got a good team, but like I said, is Jalen is he really the future for that team?
Right, I don't think so.
You know, and like I said, the Cowgirls. Sorry, Cowboy fans, but like they always find a way to wet the bed. They always do. And Dak last year, I mean, I don't know. He's good. He's just not good enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing with that.
Definitely. Yeah. Can't agree more. But
so.
All right, that about wraps it up here. Appreciate you guys for listening.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for being
Thank
on
you, brother.
Yeah, so we're going to have more guests like this all the time. We're going to upload videos once a week, every Sunday, so stay tuned for that. It's on Spotify as well as YouTube and TikTok, so make sure you guys check that out. I'll see you guys next week.